My name is Elizabeth Trujillo, and for this particular case assignment, I will be discussing the following topics in further detail: private placement, due diligence, term sheets, and regulations. A private placement memorandum is a legal document that states a company's objectives, risks, and terms associated with an investment. PPMs are most commonly created for companies who wish to seek capital. This memorandum is also known to be the second most important document for entrepreneurs, so it is very crucial for the memo to be accurate and allow investors to be well aware of all potential risks that may arise from the given investment. The components that will be found in a private placement memorandum consist of the following: a term sheet, which will be described later in this presentation, a legal disclaimer, which its purpose is intended to specify the obligations and rights that may be enforced and how a memorandum functions, any risks that correspond with the business, and a subscription agreement, which will be enclosed for the investor to fill out, agreeing to the suitability of the investment in order to move forward in the deal. We now move on to private placement offerings. A PPO is made when companies wish to raise money for their business through the sale of stocks, bonds, or securities. However, PPOs will only be offered to wealthy investors or investors who are capable of making informative decisions based on documentation they are allowed to access. Federal law refers to these qualified investors as accredited investors. One of the following requirements must be met to be considered a qualified candidate: have a net worth of at least $1 million, not including your personal residence, or have an income exceeding $200,000 in each of the 2 most recent years, or joint income with a spouse exceeding $300,000. A PPO consists of 3 components: the pre-offering phase, which outlines the listed terms of the offering along with the company's business structure and entity type. This phase also includes preparing a PPM with additional required documentation. Companies, in addition, are encouraged to include an agreement if any brokers or dealers will be present during the sale of securities. The offering phase consists of the Securities Counsel and issuer reviewing the memorandum before the offer is distributed. Any funds received will be immediately directed to the escrow agent. The closing phase will require the issuer to set a specified time and date with the escrow agent to close the deal. At this time, documentation will be finalized and copies will be sent to the investor. One major advantage that PPOs have is that these offerings offer more flexibility with regards to money that is wished to be raised. Some disadvantages that come with having a private placement offering is that the issuing company will have to give up a certain degree of control and ownership. Another concerning downfall is that there may be an encounter of fraudulent activity as a result of Rule 506 of Regulation D. Rule 506 was established by the SEC and was created to have the opportunity to raise an unlimited amount of money to an unlimited number of accredited investors. So since PPOs tie in with the guidelines of Rule 506 of Regulation D and are not reviewed by regulators, they become a potential target for fraud. Due diligence is used to investigate and evaluate a business opportunity. In other words, due diligence serves to confirm all material facts in regards to a potential sale or in preparation for a business transaction, such as, for example, a purchase of securities or corporate merger. There are 3 key areas with regards to due diligence, which are the discussion of how funds will be used, business models and budgets, and legal review. It is important to include what the current cash position of the company is in addition to post-funding. With respect to legal review, it is important to include an insight of what the company's capitalization structure looks like, an example being the percentage of ownership acquired for the company. Other essential factors that can be included in this particular area are a complete list of liabilities, both unusual and significantly unrecorded, underlying exposures, and structural features. Overall, the purpose for due diligence is to list and gather authenticated financial matters for a future settlement deal. It is a way to ensure that all material issues in connection with the firm and the offering are revealed and successfully fully disclosed to all investors. The last topic of discussion are term sheets. Term sheets are a non-binding agreement that sets conditions and terms for an investment. The term sheet is a preliminary stage that will help develop further detailed legal documents involved in the investment deal. Once parties agree on the term sheet conditions, a binding contract can be created. Some important components to include in a term sheet is the valuation of the business, a list of securities that will be issued, more commonly preferred stock, a list of accredited investors, and a price per share based on valuation. The four critical areas in a term sheet that have a huge impact on an investment deal are valuation, in which investors tend to focus more of their attention to since it deals with the price an investor will be willing to pay for shares in the company. Liquidation preference, which defines a division of proceeds between shareholders in the event of a sale of the company, regardless of equity ownership. Founder vesting, under which investors may request for the founders of the company to re-earn their equity over time to ensure that there will be continuous, genuine commitment in the company they are investing in. The final critical area is board structure. Control within the company is the backbone for strong financial outcomes in the future. Listing who will be on the board of directors and limiting it to a smaller board will create better efficiency. Having a better understanding of these critical areas will help a company to better negotiate a deal. After all, it is important to develop a positive relationship with investors and share a similar vision.